All right. Good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you're chiming in from. And I think I have you on there twice, Candace, so we're having a little bit of feedback. Okay, I'm not quite sure. Hold on. There you go. Now I only have you on once. It was a feedback from being on there twice. All right, let's start over again. Hey, everybody. Kai Deering with On the Fly with Kai. Today is Thursday, June 24th, 2021. And I'm excited. We have a big show for you today, but this is tips, tricks, and hacks for our entrepreneurs out there or ones who want to be. And today I'm excited because I've had an opportunity to really connect with Candace Medina for the past several years, off and on, through an organization called Business Network International. And I love what she's up to. She's definitely relationship based, but she owns a coaching business as well, where it's leadership. She's an author. She's been a speaker. She's got 20 years of experience. So she was one of those ones that before we even knew what coaching was early to the party. She's a certified master practitioner, and she really empowers entrepreneurs and business owners from really concept to creation with purpose-driven action. And I love that. I've had her speak at a couple of things, and I've heard her speak at our BNI many times, 12 years with BNI. And in fact, she is area launch director consultant and launched at least, I think it was 10 chapters. Is that how many? 10 to 12 chapters that you've launched? And
that's my goal. Yeah.
Oh, there's your goal. And I'm like, it's amazing what she's been able to do in her personal life and how she fits it on. So please help me welcome to the show for the very first time, Candace Medina. Yay. I'm so glad you're here.
Thank you. It's my pleasure to be with you, Kai.
Awesome. Well, hey, I know it's funny. We were saying how easy this is going to be for you and I, because we could chat literally all day long about all these kinds of great, yummy topics. But I'd love to know, and I always ask everyone, how did you get started to be an entrepreneur? Like, were you always an entrepreneur? Did you kick the corporate thing to the curb? And why coaching? Because I was telling you, when I first joined BNI 20 years ago, I'd never heard of it. And so you were first pretty much. And then all of a sudden I've not heard of it. So tell us how you ended up in coaching and what was your journey like?
Well, I've reinvented myself several different times, and I was in retail for a number of years, and then went into tax and accounting. I was an executive assistant for several years. The last 2 years, I ended up in HR, and I just adored it because it was helping people really from getting onboarded to really expanding their dreams. But we were working 70 plus hours, and as people quit, of course, you're going to ask for more with less. And I just realized my body was breaking down. And so I actually had some heart palpitations, and my doctor's like, yeah, we need to, have you relax a little bit. I took some time off, and about 30 days later, he's like, did you bring your phone home? And I'm like, yeah. He goes, did you bring your computer home? And yeah. I had been working 70 plus hours. I was on a couple of boards. I have no idea how I had it all in my hands, to be honest with you, Kai. And all of a sudden I just realized, hey, this isn't worth my life. And so I came back. I'm like, I was just tired. I'm fine. But, when he told me that 30 days in, he's like, you need to just relax. I'm like, do you want me to just sit on the couch and do nothing? And he's like, yes.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. This is live, and this one's going to.
Yeah, your puppy's chiming in.
That's awesome. Wow. Okay. So this is working from home, and life is happening to all of us, right? So
I love it. Yeah.
So there we go. This is how it works. And so I'm sorry. Please finish.
No, that's fine. No, it's when I had permission to rest, I literally went home and sat on the couch, and I went to sleep for 3 days because I had no idea I was that tired. And when I went back 2 months later, I just kind of looked around, and I was there for about a week, and I had someone come into my office, and she was making a life decision based on business. She was going to be promoted, and she was just looking to see, should I have children? Should I not have children? I don't know what she ever did. But I said, this is not where I need to be. And so I said, you need to go home and talk to your husband. What I couldn't tell her is they didn't like her, and they were not going to promote her. And it was just heartbreaking for me. And so I was like, it was a pivotal moment for me because we were really stuck between what was best for the client, what the company would do, and what the government would allow us to do. And none of that was the right thing. And so I stopped that. I was actually working for a nonprofit for a bit, and also for BNI, for a networking organization, doing it for everyone but me, coaching and leading people. And finally just decided I need to do this for myself. And you know, how do you get in the middle of your purpose and you're just like, why was I not always doing this? Right? It was like, oh my goodness, this is it. And once I started that, I never looked back. It was amazing. I had 4 clients, and it just kind of mushroomed. I was a local coach, and then somebody says, I have, a sister in Boston. I have a brother in Arizona. Can you help them? And it just, all of a sudden, I was a national business coach and speaking. I'd always been speaking, at different venues and so forth. But that was kind of a new thing for me, and just being able to hone in and help people really recognize what their purpose is, what they want to do with their life, was huge. And being able to work at their own pace. So that's amazing. That's what I love.
I love that. And you actually gave me goosebumps when I heard about that woman's story. And, I'm just like, oh, God. And I think, honestly, most entrepreneurs, if they weren't born an entrepreneur, had all these examples and that was just what they were born to do. It's one of those moments. It's one of those defining moments that happens where you're like, enough, right? Enough. And
to be honest, Kai, I had a good cry and I wrote my resignation right then. I was like, done.
Yeah. And, sometimes those bad things put us in a trajectory of a good thing. So I love that. Yeah, I got fired and I was like, okay, beautiful. Now I'm going to go do something else. So it was perfect.
Something you always wanted to do.
Yes, exactly. And I love what I do. So I know there's a lot of things that you're really, really good at in a coaching business. And, we talked about 6 or 7 things that you just kick butt at. And one of my favorite things is we all know what to do, right? So we all know, what is it called? Eat less, move more, whatever. And we all know what to do, make more phone calls, right? Meet more people, but we just don't do what we know. And that has just driven me bananas forever, studying that. And why is that? And where's this gap? And how do we close that gap? And I know some of that can be closed with habits. And we were just talking about, I was saying 21 days is not enough. And I know you have a theory that negates that 21 days to create a habit. I'd love for you to share with us your thoughts on that.
Yeah, it's actually really, really important. My own habits, I was looking at, you have to know that you're doing it, right? Most of us are like, we're living unconscious. We're doing things, we hear different things, we try different strategies, and we're like, oh yeah, that's great. And then we're like, why isn't it working? Right? Because we're not resting, we're not moving, we're not doing some of the other things. And it's about really creating a system where you have to be aware of it first. Then you have to kind of unhook your habits. Some of us have had these habits for a really long time. One of the habits that I had was holding my breath, right? Do you know when people are stressed or different things, they hold their breath? And, you hear this, just breathe. People don't always do that, right? And so it's just little things that we're able to do, the little habits that we have. So we have to unhook them first, then we have to develop the habit, and then we have to automate that, make that a part of our life. And so it's actually out of a book called The 5 a.m. Club, and it takes 66 days to automate a habit. And so those habits are great. And I love doing some of those things. Having a habit during the good times is great. Now, what do you do under stress, right? Because there's times we're clicking along, we love what we do, we're a great entrepreneur, we're even growing, and then life hits us, right? We become a caregiver, people quit, COVID, right? All the unexpected things happen. And so how do you deal with that? And so coaching can kind of help people stay out of the weeds. They can create a plan, all kinds of different things to just say, what are my blind spots? What are the things I don't know that I don't know? And some people are like, woo, I'm excited and I'm just off doing my thing, when there's good times, rather than, sticking to a budget and doing different plans and different things and developing their leadership. And other things in the midst of crisis, people step up to the plate. So it depends on who you are and what your habits are, of how we can really do that. So I love that just like eating one salad does not make you lose 50 pounds, just doesn't happen. I ate a salad yesterday. What happened? One coaching session doesn't necessarily make you, whole and free again, because it really does take the practice. We kind of set a plan, launch the plan, and then we adjust, right? What are your strengths, and what are some ways that we can do that? And then, setting out a new goal. So I love to work at people's speed of completion. And so that's one of the things I like to customize to each individual people. So.
And I love that. And so folks that are watching live, you're welcome to put comments. We can actually see them and bring them on the screen here. But I love that it's awareness, it's, unhooking them, developing a new habit, and then automation. And I think we all have scotoma. Like, it's hard to see what was on the peripheral because we're like this, right? We're focused. So coaches need coaches too, right? Everybody.
Absolutely. And that's one of the things that I love. I have coaches that help me stay focused in different areas, and I couldn't do what I do without them. And I also help other coaches feel. I have this one coach that is amazing at what she's done. She's had a coaching business for about 10 years, but she never stepped into the sunlight, right? She didn't market. She didn't really let people know she was out there. It was just by word of mouth. And it's like, okay, how many more people could you help? And then it's like, okay, so what are my packages? What should my pricing be? How confident am I in making those determinations? And sometimes our stories get kind of hooked. I like to say, people go to Barstow, whatever those automated messages are in your head. Some of them are not even ours. Some of them are other people's things that they said over us. But they stop us, right? They stop us from some of the things we want to do. And so being able to just confidently say, hey, what are some of those things? We can drive through Barstow. We can, look around, but don't stop for dinner. Don't buy a hotel. Don't live there. And then just creating that new path is always great. Sometimes we build a business loop.
And Jeannie says, a wise person once told me to never hire a coach who doesn't have a coach. I applaud you for knowing this. That's cute. So speaking of, that leads me to a great question, Jeannie. I really appreciate that. There's a lot of coaches out there. So how do you figure out what's right for you? And how does that work? Like, if you were starting to okay, I know I want to take my business to the next level, my leadership, whatever, where would you even start to ask questions? What would you ask of a coach to find out if they're the right fit? Because like you said, not everyone's for everyone.
No, it's not. And I don't take everyone that comes to me for coaching. So it's really about a fit. The best coach is the one that you will connect with, allow them to stretch your boundaries, and to be able to together make that journey. And so some of the people love certain coaches that have programs. For instance, there's one coaching program for people in the trades, and they actually give them a structured program of what they do. Mm. Others will kind of give you their strategy, and all their clients have the same strategy. I love to find the customized approach to say, what are your needs right now? What are the biggest wins we can make? The things you're sick and tired of being sick and tired of that you haven't been able to do? And that's all the power of your choices. It's like, what should you say yes to? What should you say no to? And what are you really trying to build? What's your abundant life? And the gap between that is really coaching. And so I always offer, a free 45-minute call with me, not only just to see what I see, but in order to say, hey, am I the right coach? Do we fit? Do we mesh with what we do? Because I might not be. And so partway through that, I'm just able to say, what are some things that you might want to do? Are you coachable, right? We can want to coach, but are we listening? Are we coaching? Are we really? And so I love, there's some that are seminar junkies, right? They go to the next seminar, they take all the notes, they're really, really excited for about 2 days, and then they put that folder on the shelf, and they're waiting for the next seminar. It's about implementation. My favorite clients are those ones, they're like, oh, that's a great strategy. And it's just kind of illuminating where they are and they're off and running and taking those. Those are the ones where we fix the goods, the things that are really working, and we can run with some fun stuff that they've never thought of. It's broadening where the vision, what's possible for you. So those are some of the things, but just asking good questions, what is your leadership style? What are some of the ways that, what are your specialties? All those things matter, and it really is a combination of those two goals that help you find if you're a fit. There's some people you just know 30 minutes in, you're like, you're my people, or so not my people. And it's okay. Sometimes I'm able to say, hey, you might be a better fit for another coach. And I do regularly refer other coaches because it's really important that they get what they need more than if they hire me. I'm more concerned. Yeah, I'm more concerned about them finding purpose and direction. So
yeah, like in my business,
I have are the ones I don't take.
Yeah. I was saying, in my business, I coach a lot of new agents, and if I'm not their cup of tea, I refer them to someone else to work with because, I'm not naive enough to think everyone's going to like me or my style or whatnot. So that's so true. I know you have done an incredible job of swinging from the 70-hour work week woman to now, the word balance is so overrated, but, you now are really good with self-care. So what are some tips that you can share with these busy entrepreneurs that are hard charging, especially now that we're open? I just don't want them to go back to where they were. We were talking about where it's just mindless, go, 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 go. How can they implement, some of the things that we liked about COVID into this new world and not just go back? And the self-care piece, how does that all wrap together?
Well, self-care is really a discipline. It really is. And I am not a proponent for balance. Balance for me actually reminds me of circus acrobats, right? And they're trying to do different things. For me, it's about harmony. There's times that your family is going to need a lot of your time. There's times that your business is going to need. So it's about how do we make that harmony work, and we purposefully make the choices that we need in our business. And that way we're not feeling guilt at home while we should be working, and vice versa. And so for me, self-care is really looking at some really key things, and they're really simple, but they're not easy. So on average, what do you sleep? 6 to 7, 7 to 8? Should you be doing more of that? What's your fuel? Are you eating clean? Are you eating in the middle of the night? What are you eating? Are you eating? Movement, water. What are you feeding your brain? This is a big one that people just don't seem to understand, is that what we put in, what we focus on, grows, and it usually pops out of our mouth. And so if we're not happy with the quality of our communication or with the different things that we're doing, what are things that we're putting into our brain that's actually feeding our soul, for business and for pleasure? And so for some people it's books, for some people it's audio. I love when I drive or do different things, I use Audible, and it's been a real huge thing for me. But those things are your sacred time. Those are the things that people give up first, right? If somebody needs something, especially children or other things, we always take from our bucket first. And unfortunately, we sometimes are living on empty. And so that's where I found myself. I'd actually fallen off my own list. I actually had to go back and say, if I was taking care of someone else, what were the things that I would do for them? Because I had just continued I had a little bit of space, I had a little bit of time, and it's like the little foxes. Even now in COVID, I looked at a couple of different things, and it was clarifying for all of my clients. They're like, now I know what I don't want, right? And sometimes that's powerful to say, okay, now what do you want to create? Or they understand you have this much time, energy, and resources every day. How do I best want to invest that? Now, as you get older, those reserves are a lot less. So for all you young folks out there, enjoy the energy while you have it. Because at some point it's like, yeah, driving all over, no. I mean, because they pulled me kicking and screaming onto an online platform, and I adore it now. It's more, it's crazy. My clients, it's way easier for them to concentrate. It takes less time. We're not in a coffee shop, so it's way more confidential. It's just a better platform, but you don't know what you don't know. And so there's a lot of people starting new businesses, all kinds of different things that I think are important. And the worst thing you can do is stay in a dead-end job. that doesn't serve you, that has no purpose. I think there's a lot of people doing that. They used to call it a midlife crisis. Sometimes it's just awareness. I don't want to do this. If you're thinking about your job and you're like, I have to go to that place, you're who I'm talking to. Because it's just about, hey, or it's about how do I structure my self-care so that when I show up, I have something to give. Because there's a lot of times people sacrifice to be successful. And that's one of the things that I recognize as I just rebranded my business. But you can be successful without selling your soul, right? People were either successful and really a failure at home, or, they felt like they had to, in order to have the home life they wanted, they have to give up some success. And that's really not true. It's just the power of your choices.
I love it. So I love that self-care is a discipline, no balance, but harmony. I just think all of that is really, really important. And I love that you said, I fell off my own list. And, I think this last 13 months has really taught us, like, this is not a dress rehearsal. If you don't like what you're doing, get off your butt and do something else, right? There's so many options out there. You don't have to stay stuck. So,
right. Well, and I've always said, self-care is a business strategy. You are your biggest asset in your business. If you're not functioning, if you're not at your top capacity, you're not able to help the other people that you serve, or, your clients, your family, other things like that. And solopreneurs, they're funny. They're like, I'm not a leader. And I'm like, yeah, you lead the most important person. You lead you. Yeah. And so that's the biggest thing, is being able to master leading you, and really being able to be in that authentic place instead of the persona that we have. This is my work life. Here's my personal life. Here's my spiritual life. Here's, the things that I do to the community. You're still the person in the tights. And that's the biggest thing, is having to be able to be authentic and recognize, you wouldn't go without eating, and to be trying to serve in a soup kitchen, right? It's like, no, we're helping others, but we have to take care of ourselves as well if we want to do it long term.
For sure. And then I know you're obviously Business Network International. You've been working for them for 12 years. And I've been a member off and on for a decade over the last 20 years. And I love the organization. It's amazing. So if you're not a Business Network International BNI and you're a bit self-employed, you should be, because it's the best bang for your dollar. It's so much better than advertising, which doesn't work, or doing click through, whatever. It's the best way to grow your business, in my opinion, over 20 years of being self-employed. So I know that we see a lot of do's and don'ts. I see so much whack stuff. I'm like, wow, this is not going to serve you well long term. So maybe talk about, when you're in a networking situation, whether it's BNI or whether it's whatever the situation is, what are some best practices and what are some of the funniest things that you've seen and you're like, oh, no.
Well, yeah, and it's been interesting because BNI has been able to pivot in COVID to be able to go online. We went online before some companies did, and for 36 years, even in COVID and different things, we've had continuous growth. So I'm thrilled. BNI has allowed me to do 98 to 99% of my business all by word of mouth referral. And so, yes, I direct prospect. Yes, I have to close, but it's all about being able to train a network how to best support and to listen for what you need. And so it's knowing your target market, being able to speak for your business, all of those things. So the best practices is really to stay present, I think, while you're networking, to focus on them, no sales pitches, to really be interested. Most people come to an event not to be sold to, but to connect. And so recognizing that connection is the best part. One of the things that I always look for is those people who immediately add me to their list and spam me. Those are usually the ones I delete because they haven't spoken to me. I usually laughingly talk about the people that come to a chamber event with their cards in their hands like ninja stars, and they throw them out into the room and they talk to you for 2.5 seconds, and then they move on to the next one, and then they want your contact list and your best clients. It's like, we don't even know each other, right? Most of my clients wouldn't pick up the phone because they don't know you. And so it's just being able to understand that you're building relationships, you're trying to help them make their best connections, helping someone else connect, and being able to live what their philosophy is, givers gain for BNI. And it's just something that I have definitely seen work, whether you do the law of reciprocity or sowing and reaping. Just one of those things that I think builds over time. I wouldn't be where I am today personally, in my business, my life development, or anything else without BNI, and that you get not just a business network, but also an information and a support network, which has been amazing. So it's definitely something that I think being able to engage, being able to really talk to people about what they need, and then if you have a way to introduce them to other people, doing that. Just being able to sometimes just be able to say, hey, do you need more visibility in your business? Let me connect you with my network. You don't need to join, but come meet some people. They may be your clients. They may be people that you need in your resources. I always say, when you're busy, you need BNI for resources. When you're not, you need them to help you not just look for any business, but better business. And I love what I do because I help people look for their sweet spot. Those clients that they can't wait to get up and serve, not the 10% at the end of their line that they need to call anyways. And there's ways to do that, but it's just ways to be able to really engage with those people who, love what you do, value your service, and can't wait to be a raving fan.
Well, I'm so glad you said those things because, so you brought up two things for me. One is, these people that you are networking with, they're not necessarily a wall, right? They're not the end. They're a door that can open up. And if you misbehave by putting me on your stupid email list without my permission, or if you just shove your card in my face and you don't feel like I'm going to be powerful enough for you and you move on to the next person, it's just, it's rude. It's relationship, based, and it can take a little bit longer, but it's worth it. So it's trusted resources and all that good stuff. So, and they haven't earned it. You've got to earn the right to be able to, get a referral, right? Like that's a right that you earn. So I really appreciate, because that's funny stuff. I really appreciate you saying that.
Well, and you can sometimes see my head bop, and it's me hearing the Baby Shark song in my head. So enough about me. What do you think about me? It's the same thing. It's not at all looking for the other person. And what's your best goals? What are some of the things that I can help you with? If somebody says, how can I help you? Always have an answer for that. And I love that's a huge one. And then allow someone to help you.
I agree.
Love that.
Well, it's interesting too, just because we're now going to have a hybrid, right? So I don't think it's we're going to go live or we're going to stay, virtual. Like in our chapter, we're doing a mixer. If anybody's interested, on Monday in Mountain View at the sports page at 6. But I think it's going to be an and. It's not we're going to go live or we're going to go virtual. I think it's going to be, we're going to go, virtual and we're going to go live. I think we can do both. And I think it can be successful in a lot of different ways, don't you?
I do. And I think people are recognizing, again, in COVID, we're recognizing we only have that much time. So if the business can get done online, fantastic. And then we're going to actually spend the time getting to know the people in these quality relationships. Maybe even we bring visitors to that and make those personal introductions and be able to really invest in the relationships that create the trust, visibility, and credibility that make us profitable.
And I could talk about networking all day long because it's one of my favorite subjects. But
it is me too.
It's really fun. But we only have a minute left, and I want to make sure that folks that are watching have an opportunity to continue the conversation with you because you are very interesting. You have so much value to add. How would they reach out to you, connect with you? What does that look like?
So I just rebranded my site, CandaceMedinaCoaching.com, and I have 2 different ways that they can continue with me. They're welcome for a free 45-minute coaching session. Just find out, are you where you think you are? GPS needs 2 coordinates. And if you're not where you think you are, it's hard to get there. And then I have an online event coming up about the power of your choices. And that's a free event as well on July 8th at 11:30. So
great. And I did put that in the chat so that people
Perfect.
can engage with you and reach out, because I really feel like, what do you have to lose? See if Candace is a good fit for you, as far as like a business coach and whatnot. So great. Well, I want to thank you so much. I can't believe it's already been 30 minutes since this conversation, but you're amazing. Thank you so much again for being on the show. Appreciate you.
Thank you so much for allowing me to speak into your trusted network. I so appreciate all the things that you do here, and continue to follow On the Fly with Kai, because she's totally amazing. Thank you,
Thanks. All right. Well, thanks, everybody. Appreciate another great show here with Candace Medina. We are here every single Thursday at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, and all time zones in between, where we give you tips, tricks, and hacks for budding entrepreneurs, seasoned entrepreneurs, and everyone in between. So thanks again, everyone. Make it a fabulous day. Bye-bye.